Hello, and welcome to the October edition of Extra. I'm Joanne Hines.
And I'm Georgia Lash. Here at Extra, we bring you expanded coverage of recently broadcast features from Sun City News.
It's October, and we're ready for Halloween, since we're already wearing masks.
And we're ready for our first story. We start with an update from the Resident Advisory Council, better known as the RAC. Joanne, give us the rundown.
Charlie Finn, newly appointed chairperson, was in our studio to discuss the purposes and priorities of the RAC and the Sun City elections.
Well, welcome, Charlie, to Sun City News.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to Sun City News. It's the first time I've ever been in the studio. It's pretty high class, and I'm very impressed.
We're glad you're here. So we have a couple of questions for you, Charlie. What exactly is the RAC, and how is it unique here in Sun City?
Okay, well, the RAC is the Resident Advisory Committee, and it is a board-appointed committee, as are several other board-appointed committees. But it is unique in that it is the only board-appointed committee in which the members must have been elected as either neighborhood rep or alternate neighborhood rep in order to serve. Every other board-appointed committee is open to every resident of Sun City. But the 118 neighborhood reps and alternate reps are the only ones that are eligible to serve on the RAC.
Okay, good answer. Now, what can the RAC do and what can't it do right here for our residents?
Okay, what the RAC can do is act as a communication conduit between the board of directors, the community association, and the residents. If a resident has any question, they can address it to the neighborhood rep, and if the neighborhood rep has difficulty or is uncomfortable answering it, he or she can refer that up to the Resident Advisory Council. What we can't do, the Resident Advisory Committee and all of the neighborhood reps and alternate reps cannot become involved in any dispute or disagreement between neighbors or between residents and the community association or the board. We are not the police. We are a communication avenue only. And I think we do a pretty good job, but there's always room for improvement.
Okay. And what do you see as the number one issue for the RAC in 2020?
Our biggest challenge in 2020 is explained probably by the fact that we are here looking at as if we're about to rob a bank. It's the COVID pandemic and the fact that we are conducting an election. Coming up in the next month nominations, and coming up soon is the actual election of half of the Neighborhood Representative Council, 26 neighborhoods, including the neighborhood that I serve in, will put forward candidates for the Neighborhood Representative Council. And also, for the first time in just about anybody's memory, the Sun City Board of Directors has 2 resident elections this year. We have the challenge, first, of getting good candidates, and anybody who's interested can contact me. I'm in the book. We then have the challenge of getting enough people to vote that we don't have to hold the election again. People always say, well, this is silly. We only have one candidate for neighborhood rep and one candidate for alternate rep. Why am I wasting my time? The ruling documents of Sun City require that for all elections, 20% of the electorate, which is per rooftop. So if you have a if you have a neighborhood with 50 houses, you need a minimum of 10 votes. If we don't reach the minimum, then we have to redo the election. The election is a challenge this year. Again, it's a unique year in so many ways. The election will be conducted entirely electronically. In the past, we had a hybrid where we had paper ballots. There are no paper ballots this year. So the obvious question is, what happens to somebody if they don't own a computer or a smartphone? Well, I say welcome to the 20th century, but that people think I'm sarcastic. We will have set up here in Town Square kiosks where there will be people that will be able to assist you to show you how to vote online. So please, by all means, all of this information was in the last issue of Sensations. It'll be in the next issue of Sensations that's coming out next week. We need good candidates. We've had several people who've had to withdraw for family reasons, for health reasons, etc. This is a crucial year, and that is our number one challenge.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie, for coming on the show, and we hope you'll be coming back to us. We'd like to have you again.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Speaking of updates, Georgia, you got an update on Beaufort County.
I did. There's a lot going on in Beaufort County, and Beaufort County Councilman Joe Passament covered a gamut of subjects with me. Take a listen. Joe, welcome. Let's start off with a question that's close to Sun City. What are the plans Beaufort County has for the convenience centers?
Okay, so this is being taped at the time after I've done a presentation to the neighborhood committees. So they have all of the details about what is going to be taking place on January 1st, which is the closing of the Pritchardville Convenience Center on Gibbet Road. That is going to have a big impact on Sun City. There's going to be a new decal system. The only residents that will be allowed to go to the convenience centers will be those who are residents of Beaufort County.
That will be a significant change.
Yes, it will.
Now, moving on, Beaufort County has done a great job of increasing the awareness about the 2020 census. They just had an awareness day. Now, tell me, when people ask, why is it important for me to fill out the census?
Well, there are multiple reasons, but the two primary reasons are, number one, we want to have an accurate accounting of the number of residents who live in Beaufort County. That is going to have a tremendous impact about the federal and state resources in dollars that we would receive. And the second most important is the districting that we would have, the number of representatives we would have at the state level, the federal level, and at the county level. And so for those two reasons alone, it is critical that everyone participates in the census.
Joe, there's a lot of talk about Highway 278. What's the latest update on the corridor improvement project?
Well, the latest update is this: the finalization of the plan of all of the alternatives will be revealed in the late October, early November timeframe. And as you've read in the paper recently, there have been lots of input from a variety of sources about what to do with the bridges. Tear them down, make them parks. So we're looking at all of those things as the final plans come through. And with those final plans, we will be able to determine what we're going to do as far as some other traffic improvements that will be needed along the lines of the Defusky Ferry and where to place that, because the bridges will have an impact on where that goes. So it's coming, and we have the money, the bonding is there, we just now have to have the final plan.
Well, Joe, we've had so many questions we've been asking our groups and our representatives. COVID-19, who expected it? We're going on a 6-month anniversary of our shutdown. How has that impacted the way you do business with the county, for the county, and for us?
Okay, so that's a multi-part answer. Number one, from the position, we are an employer. We have 1,300 employees. And because we are an employer, we have to be cognizant of our workforce and protecting them. And so COVID-19 has caused us to make dramatic changes in how we do business with the public. As you can see, over these last 6 months, we have been shut down. We do things virtually. All of our county meetings, all of our committee meetings have been done virtual to protect our employees, because just like we're having this interview now, we have a cameraman. We certainly have all of those people that take care of us when we are there in person And so we had to protect them. So that's one of the reasons we have had to change the business plan.
So many different considerations. So about on a more positive note, perhaps, what are some new projects that are coming to Beaufort County?
Oh gosh, there's lots of development going on in Beaufort County, just right around us. Malin Bluff, right up on 170, is a development that has been approved. That's going on now. Almost next door to that is River Oaks. That's going to be coming online soon. There is a development agreement that is being looked at and discussed by County Council to have Pepper Oaks development begin. There is a myriad of projects that are going on, not only on the development side, but on the commercial side. John O'Toole is our economic development person for the county, and he's doing some great things about bringing new businesses into the county. The South Carolina Alliance just announced a major project in Hampton County, which is right by us, about a new agriculture program that's going on. So there's tremendous things going on all at once, all over the county. We're putting together a comprehensive plan of what we're going to look like for the next 10 years, the needs. We're doing traffic studies not only for 278, the rest of the corridor of 278, all the way down to 8, and what we need to do, but also 170, because statistically, 170 now has just about 55,000 cars a day, which is nearing the amount of cars that 95 has, Route 95 has. So you can see the amount of traffic in this area. So
I know we all look at, is our favorite store coming? And all else, can go aside. But we are always worried about the traffic and the crowding. And it sounds like you're putting those considerations together.
oh, absolutely. We're courting all kinds of businesses. We're courting all kinds of retailers. But, the whole retail market with COVID-19 has changed. So the world has kind of changed. And we're trying to adapt to what is going on. It's very difficult to look 10 years down the future and make sure that you're doing the right thing. But that's one of the things that we have to do is, where are we now? Where are we going? When we talked about the convenience centers and why we had to close the Pritchardville Center, as I told the neighborhood rep council when I spoke to them, in 30 years ago is when we put the Pritchardville Center in. Well, 30 years ago, let's see, what was happening? Sun City didn't exist.
That's right.
Okay? The town of Bluffton had approximately 700 residents. So now we forward 30 years later. That 0.6 of an acre plot of land that served that population now serves about 25,000 people that live in the Bluffton area right now, plus the 14,000 Sun City residents on the Beaufort side alone deal with that area. Plus, all of the Lawton Station and all of the other developments that now exist in that area. So its useful life is gone. So that's why we have to replace that, and we have to look to the future what we're going to do.
Finishing up, in the midst of everything else that we've talked about and so much going on, it's election time and it's looming upon us. Is Beaufort County ready?
Well, the answer to that is yes, we are ready. What we've done this particular year, the county took the leadership and we created one more additional early voting place. We only had 2 before, the one on Ulmer Road and the one in the city of Beaufort. We now installed one more on Hilton Head Island. So now we have 3 early voting places.
Thank you for certainly enlightening us and informing us about Beaufort County. And again, we always invite you back to update us with this news.
Yeah, I always enjoy this, and so this is one of the things that I like to do.
This was must-know information, and we hope to hear from Councilman Passman on a routine basis.
Now, we've heard some serious business, so maybe it's time to chill. Georgia, give us the scoop.
Now, Joanne, we covered a story on SCTV News that looked back on how we all may have ended up in Sun City.
Considering we would have been celebrating Sun City's 25th anniversary this month, it's apropos that we take a look back at how things got started. Randy Selman shares some Sun City history with us.
If you remember, last week I reported on a 1993 edition of the Hilton Head Monthly. This week's story not only played a big part in my life, but also all of yours. The article from 1993 read, "Cashing in on Sun City." This was the first article written about an area near Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, that a company named Del Webb was considering building a 5,100-acre retirement community. That's right, Sun City. Bluffton was just one of a few areas that Del Webb thought would be a great place to build his newest community. Firstly, I would like to give you a little background on the man himself. Del Webb was a New York carpenter before he founded his own company in 1928. He actually made his fortune building military bases throughout the West during World War II. He was also an amateur baseball player and owner of the New York Yankees. He later built the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas and other hotels and casinos there. The company came up with a unique plan to build retirement communities, and the first was built in Phoenix, and you guessed it, Sun City in Phoenix. The rest is history. What I found most interesting about the article were the reactions from the residents of Hilton Head and surrounding areas, most coming from realtors. What was discovered was that Sun City wasn't looked at as competition to Hilton Head, but a draw. They believed that folks who came to look at Sun City would drive a bit further and explore Hilton Head as their home instead. They also figured that if they do build in Sun City, their children and grandchildren would want to move closer and therefore buy on Hilton Head. Both assumptions were probably true then, as they are now. Another factor which is still true today was the workforce that was so important to businesses on the island would decide to cut out an hour of commuting time and accept employment here rather than there. Some things never change. Another drawback, which is also true today, was the worrisome problem of traffic. The same complaints still resonate as each new home and community and shopping area are being discussed or built. But how can anyone ignore what was to become our homes 25 years later? Del Webb promised that the community would feature amenities such as golf courses, tennis courts, swimming pools, fitness centers, arts and crafts, recreation centers, and so much more. They didn't disappoint. Those are the things that made us choose the place we now call home. A little personal anecdote. On a visit to my parents who lived on Hilton Head, we saw the grand opening of the Sun City models. My husband and my favorite pastime was house hunting. We decided we would like to see the models. We were both very young at the time. We drove in and went to the sales center. We asked to tour the homes, but they told us that this was a retirement community for 55 years and up. We were ready. We explained that we were checking it out for my in-laws who lived in California. You should have seen the smile that emanated from them when they heard that. They welcomed us and gave us all the info, and off we went for our tour. Who would have ever dreamed? Well, we are in-laws now, so I guess we only told a half-truth.
And we're all grateful that we learned about making Sun City our new paradise.
Let's finish up with the story that recalls a poignant moment in time. Our last story also looks back in history. SCTV covered the Shalom Club's commemoration of 9/11 and learned more about Sun City's 9/11 Memorial in Town Square. Today is 9/11, and each of us certainly has our memories of that day. Our Sun City Shalom Club presents an annual commemoration so that we never forget. What are your personal recollections of that day?
It was a beautiful, sunny day. We lived up in New York. Took my kids to the bus stop and then found out a plane hit the building. Called my boss. My boss said, "It's nothing, don't worry about it." Went to take a walk, got another call saying another plane hit. Called into work. We were staged at the Meadowlands Sports Complex. We went over to the city. We made a OR at the Chelsea Street Pier, stayed there for like 8 hours, 9 hours, saw no one. Went down to Ground Zero, walked around, saw everybody, exhausted at that time. And then around midnight went to the Chelsea Piers where we actually started taking care of people going home. And the one person I remember, he was having a severe respiratory problem and his arm was really sliced. And he didn't care about his arm because he said he was the only one from his fire department going back. Then leaving, going back home around 5 in the morning and finding out that 3 friends were missing. First responders, I was paramedic, and they were paramedics and police officers.
Makes things like that we're going through now seem a lot easier to tolerate.
Yeah, it's sad. I've lost a lot of friends to COVID too up there, but you just never forget where you were and what you were doing. And so many people lost, and it's touched everybody's lives differently, but everybody's lives were touched that day.
Phil, tell us about the Shalom Club.
Well, the Shalom Club started over 23 years ago. We've had a number of past presidents who have been very diligent to keep the club going. It started with about 8 or 9 people who decided they wanted to form a club that would embrace the multiculturality of Sun City people. Even though the title of Shalom Club may imply Jewishness, it's not a religious organization. It's a cultural club that we have different programs every month, and we have outside activities. We try to get everybody together to talk about commonality and things like that. It's hard to describe because when you come in, it's a friendly group. We do have monthly meetings, and we have entertainment or speakers coming in every month, and we have outside activities too. We go to restaurants as a group, and we usually get at a restaurant at least 75 people coming together. So we get good camaraderie. So we're encouraging people to think about joining our club, obviously.
This is a busy area for Sun City and Town Square. We're pulling in to go to the gym and the card rooms and things. And I often wonder how many people have stopped and not only stopped, but understand the beautiful, significance of this memorial.
Well, this monument and the surrounding bushes around it have big significance. People don't realize that there are 9 separate bushes that were put in. And then around the top it has 12, significant 11 around the top and 9 here, significant 9/11. The plaque has you'll see a granite coin said that we're a unity, we're all together, with the plaque having a message in honor of the memory of those who were touched and the outrageous acts during this tremendous time. We are recognizing over the 3,000 people that died at the towers. So there is significance. Also, we maintain flowers all year round on the bottom of this monument. I mean, you're right, many of them don't recognize the significance of this, but there is significance with the surrounding of the world, and the bushes are right there, sound here.
And it was done by a Sun City resident. The
Yes.
monument was created. And 2002, so within that first year of the recognition, that's amazing.
We had this person come in, as was mentioned before, I forgot his name, to be honest with you.
Marvin Pearlstein.
Yes, I remembered, I should have known it. And he designed this whole plaque and the area. And we got together with the Del Webb community to see if we could have a monument built here. And with the help of the developer here, we designed this and had it installed a year after to commemorate. I mean, every year we have a ceremony. As I said, we try to keep flowers, keep this beautiful area. But I think more people should see what we're doing here.
This has been enlightening to me, certainly, to learn about the monument. Thank you for letting us join you today at the commemoration.
Very nice. Thank you for having me.
Well, that's extra for October. I'm Joanne Hines. Please check out the program guide and Sensations for our other SCTV monthly shows.
And I'm Georgia Lash. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next month as we bring you extra coverage of stories and features from Sun City News.